Hello, friends. Welcome to Ask Ashley Live, where you can call in, ask questions if you have them. The link should be in the description on Facebook. So if you want to call in, you can enter the studio by clicking on that link, and then I can let you on the show and you can ask questions if you have any. So today I wanted to talk about the fact that as moms, we get really mixed messages when it comes to our kids' emotions. We're told, not to give too much attention to them because we might raise kids that are wimps, but we also don't want to ignore them because we don't want to end up with kids who felt like their emotions never mattered. So I wanted to discuss that today. I'm Ashley Jangro. I'm the founder of the Mentally Strong Moms Method, which is my method for helping moms raise mentally strong kids by first learning the strategies and applying them to themselves so that they can build up their own mental strength, so that they can have that experiential knowledge of the strategies, and so that they can get the support that they need, because raising mentally strong kids is not an easy thing. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this topic about emotions at the very end of this live stream. I'm going to share a gift that I have for you and make an offer that I'm really excited about. So stick around till the end and let's talk about our kids' emotions. So, like I said, when it comes to our kids' emotions, we get super mixed messages. And what I'm going to talk about today is how we need to be paying more attention to our kids' emotions and simultaneously less attention to our kids' emotions, which is interesting because that sounds like another mixed message, but I'm going to give you some techniques to do both in a way that will help build up your kids' mental strength. We need to take those emotions more seriously and less seriously. And I'm going to tell you how. So, when I talk about those mixed messages, I think about when I was raising my kids and they were little. I felt really confused about this. It was something where I felt like, okay, I know I need to be taking what they're feeling seriously. I know I need to validate their emotions, but at the same time, I don't want to reward certain things. I don't want to reward tantrums that they're having. And so it felt really confusing to me. And I always questioned, where is that line? Where does that line exist that will allow me to support them, to give them the support they need, and also help them build up their own mental strength so that they aren't always relying on me? So I want to talk about that for just a second. But before I do, I just want to emphasize that moms, one of the most important things you can do is really trust your intuition here. You are that individual's mom for a reason, and your intuition, your knowledge about the kids, about your kids, is more than anyone else. So trust your intuition about what to do for your children, because you are the very best person to do that. So the other thing I want to emphasize is that even one of the things that I felt like I was doing right when my kids were little was I knew not to constantly fix their problems for them, because then they would not learn to fix them on their own. So one of the things that I thought I was doing right, but I feel like now I know a little bit, I have a little bit more information, is I would try to empower them to fix this, to come up with a solution and to fix whatever was going on their own. So I might say, if they came and told me they had a rough day at school and they were really sad, I would say, okay, so what are some steps you can take to resolve that? And I'm going to tell you in just a second what I wish I would have done differently, because what I was doing there was, even though I was helping them come up with the solution, so I felt like I was empowering them, what was happening was I was confirming to their brain that this negative emotion they were experiencing was somehow needed to be escaped quickly, somehow needed to be fixed. And over time, what happens is I'm teaching their brains, and they are teaching their brains, that this emotion, this negative feeling, is dangerous, that it somehow needs to be avoided, that it somehow needs to be resisted and fixed and escaped quickly. So what I wish I would have done differently I would still get to that solution ultimately. But first, what I would want to do, and this is the first skill that I would recommend when it comes to handling our kids' emotions, is help them just allow that emotion. And this is what I mean when I say we need to pay more attention. We need to take our kids' emotions more seriously than we might already. Because even if we're acknowledging them And sometimes we might acknowledge, sometimes we might just dismiss them like, you're fine, whatever. But um, what I want to say is by taking them more seriously, by paying more attention to them, what I mean is helping our child to allow them. And the way I do that is I just ask my kids. So back to that example, if they come home from school and they're like, I had a bad day, I'm feeling really sad, I would just say, really, tell me more about that. What does that feel like to you? How does sadness show up in your body? Where can you tell where you feel it? And if they were really struggling, I might even go deeper into that and say, what shape is it? Does it have a color? And this is something that this is a strategy that I use so that I am teaching my child and I'm teaching their brains. I'm allowing them to teach their brains. This emotion that you're feeling right now, you've got this. It's not dangerous. You can just allow it to exist in your body. It can't hurt you. And it might not make them feel better in the moment. It might, but it might not. But what it is doing is it's a long-term strategy so that their brains learn even negative ones are manageable. That has so many long-term benefits, like emotions, even negative ones, don't show up with such intensity as they used to. They don't feel so scary because our brains know, hey, I've dealt with this before. Another benefit is not only is it not so intense, but it seems, sorry, there's people outside my house and I got a little bit distracted as I can hear them. So, not only is that emotion not as intense, but their reaction to it, to just manage it, becomes their default. So as they're practicing this strategy over and over of having an intense emotion and moving into their body and describing the physical attributes of the emotion, they're creating a neural pathway that allows them later, when they have an intense emotion, to move down that neural pathway as a habit. So it becomes their default just to handle it. So they don't need to have those same extreme reactions that they might otherwise have. So that's the first way that I mean we need to pay more attention. We need to take our kids' emotions more seriously. At the same time, when I say we need to pay less attention, we need to take them less seriously. Maybe less seriously isn't the right term. Maybe it's we can react to them less dramatically. Because again, our reaction teaches our kids when they are small whether or not the emotion they're experiencing is an emergency, is urgent, is dangerous, or if it's something that they can figure out how to handle. So I would want to caution you as you are relying on your own intuition, mom, not to ever leave your child in a situation that will overwhelm them. If an emotion, especially a negative emotion, is so intense that it becomes overwhelming to them, and this could happen with positive emotions too, especially like excitement, it could cause so much distraction that it becomes detrimental to them. But I would never leave your child in a situation that overwhelms them that they cannot actually handle. However, using opportunities to teach them you can handle, especially a negative emotion, is so valuable. Some of the ways I do this is to practice these strategies when an emotion is strong, but not damaging, like boredom, like restlessness, like any other emotion that all of our kids experience. Instead of immediately fixing it or empowering them to fix it by saying, okay, go find something to do, I would say, yeah, tell me about that. So you think you're feeling boredom? Where do you feel that? Do you feel it in your head or is it in your stomach? What does it look like when you feel it? Do you feel it in your fingertips like you need to do something? And all I'm doing, again, is not trying to resolve that emotion in the moment so that their brains learn I can handle uncomfortable emotions. Uncomfortable emotions are something manageable for me. I'm also teaching them, we're also creating that neural pathway so that those emotions feel less intense and that becomes their default even when I'm not there. So and I refer to that whole thing, that whole process as processing or allowing an emotion. And that combined with the next strategy I'm going to talk about, these two strategies are, I feel like if we could teach every single kid these strategies, our world would be completely different. So mom, by teaching your kids these strategies, you are changing your mental health legacy. You are changing the mental health of your family for what could continue on for generations. So these two strategies, processing or allowing an emotion. And then the second one is to identify the thoughts that are generating that emotion. And what I teach is that all of our thoughts, this is a big part of the Mentally Strong Mom method. All of our thoughts, all of our emotions are generated from a specific thought. Those thoughts I sometimes refer to as stories in our head. They're interpretations or perceptions of everything that's happening outside of ourselves, of situations, of other people's reactions, of something somebody said to us. We pull that into our brains and interpret it in a way that is based on how we've done things in the past and how we learn things and what we were raised to believe. A huge amount of factors. Becoming aware of those stories, of those thoughts, is not an easy thing to do. It's a skill, though, that can be developed over time. I try to approach it by just dropping in and noticing, what's my brain doing right now? What interpretations is it forming? I call myself the calm, curious observer because I always drop into curiosity. I do not drop into judgment about any of my thoughts. And I just stay calm because I know none of those thoughts are necessarily fact. I know that none of the emotions that are coming up are emergencies. So as I become the calm, curious observer, I'll just ask myself, okay, so I feel this emotion. Maybe I'll take some time to process it. And then I move upwards into my brain and I'm like, I wonder how I perceive the thing that generated that emotion. And I ask my kids this too. This is a little bit more difficult than asking them to drop into their bodies and find that emotion physically. But I'll just ask them, how did you take what they said that made you feel that way? Is there any other way that, and again, I would do this after processing an emotion because this is solving it. So I'd say, is there any other way that you could maybe think about that? And I do this constantly when it is not a heightened situation. So I might not do this in the moment where they come home and say, yeah, I had a bad day at school, I'm feeling sad. After we process the emotion, I might not move into this yet. It can seem dismissive. It can seem like I'm not validating their emotions. So I might do this in just a much less emotionally charged moment. I might just say to them, yeah, how could we, maybe I'm driving and I'm in traffic and somebody cuts me off. And I'm like, oh, guys, that made me so frustrated. And then I'm like, hold on, how could we think about this differently so that it doesn't generate frustration? And now my kids, because I've said it so much, they're always like, maybe his wife's in labor. Maybe they're going to the hospital. And we joke about it now. I joke about it too. I think of it as like the milk situation where we're going around a corner and somebody's going so slow in front of me. And I get frustrated and I'm like, just hurry up. And I'm like, hold on. Maybe they just went to the grocery store and they have milk in the back and they're trying not to knock it over. And that just helps me feel a little bit calmer because I know when I have milk in my car and I'm trying not to knock it over, I go more slowly and I hope the people behind me are being understanding. So this is one of the ways that I just say, what's the thought? What's the story that your brain offered you that you think generated that emotion that made you feel sad or frustrated? Maybe with boredom, I might ask this. I might say, what is the thought in your brain that's making your body feel like that? And you're calling it boredom. And they would probably say something like, there's nothing to do. And then I could say, okay, what's a different way we could ask our brains about that? What if you ask your brain, what can I do? And it's an open question as opposed to a closed question. So those are the two strategies that I implement constantly, asking my kids how an emotion feels in their body and talking to them about the thought that generated those emotions. Those two skills will have such a dramatic impact on their mental health. And so, again, when I say we need to take the emotions more seriously, we need to pay more attention to them, I just mean stopping and taking the time to say, okay, tell me about how that feels in your body, so that their brains are learning emotions are manageable. And then less attention or take them less seriously because they do not have to be dramatic. When our child tells us that they're struggling with sadness, it does not mean there's an emergency. Each time they do that, each time they bring that problem to us, it's a new opportunity to lay the groundwork inside their brains, to lay that groundwork for teaching them, for allowing their brains to learn that they can manage their emotions. These are strategies that you can use no matter your kid's age. It looks a little bit different with teenagers because if it's a moment where it's a heightened emotion, they might roll their eyes at you when you try to ask these questions. So I typically ask them in other situations. But when they're young, if you can start when they're young, asking them, how does that emotion feel in your body? What story did your brain tell you that made you feel like that? The younger you can start, the better. So the best way I have come up with talking to my teenagers about this in a way that feels non-threatening to them, in a way that feels like I'm not correcting them, is I let them see me practicing this. There's been numerous times in the past couple of weeks where, especially around the holidays, where I've felt a really extreme emotion and I stop and I'm like, hold on. I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry right now. And I need to just take a second to process this. And then I will describe to them, here's what it feels like. Sometimes as I'm doing this, there's, tears entering my eyes, but allowing them to see me do this and allowing to see the success that comes from it, allowing them, talking to them about, here's how that impacts my mental health. Here's what I'm doing. I'm teaching my brain that I got this. And then as I teach my brain that long term, those emotions don't feel so terrible to me anymore because I know I can handle them. So allowing my kids to see that, to hear me do this and then see that success has such a dramatic impact on them. And that's for several different reasons. One being just because they're seeing it and then their brains are aware, okay, that's something successful. So they feel a little bit less resistance to it. But also because of a function of our brain called mirror neurons, where we do what the person we're around does. And so it makes it that much more likely that they're going to implement these strategies in their own lives. So these are some of the things that I teach within that Mentally Strong Mom method. All right. That's everything. If anyone has questions, you can come on, you can enter the studio, you can come on live and ask questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the free gift that I have available and the offer that I have. So first of all, I want to tell you about this offer. I keep talking about the Mentally Strong Mom method, which is that unique method that I have to help raise mentally strong kids. This is for any moms who have kids that are struggling with mental health or any moms who have kids that aren't struggling, but who want to prevent that from coming up. I have a unique method that I teach that helps moms really focus on their own building up their own mental strength by learning the strategies so that they have that experiential knowledge of the strategies so that they know any of like the pitfalls or the resistance that their kids might experience or feel so that when they're helping their kids learn these strategies, they already have a visceral knowledge of those things. That not only helps them teach the strategies better, but also moms builds up your mental strength so that you can handle whatever comes at you when your kids are struggling with mental health. Because the danger there is that as your child shares with you, yeah, I'm really struggling with this. The danger there is that it can become about mom's feelings, that it can become, mom is feeling guilty or fearful or confused or overwhelmed or even annoyed. And so in the Mentally Strong Mom method, we really focus on building up the tools that mom needs to have that mental strength and then just getting the support because as a group, we can support each other as we are raising mentally strong kids. If you are interested in that, I invite you to come join my free online community. You can get to it by going to the momsquad.ashley.tube and then putting in your email and name, and then I can send you all the information about it. But here's the offer. I am launching a cohort starting January 15th, and I'm looking for a small group of moms. I think I'm only going to work with 5 moms in this cohort to work through this as beta testers. This is going to be my pilot program. So I'm looking for 5 moms. If that's you, if that's something you are interested in, you can go straight to ashleyjangro.com /mom squad. And what that will take you to is a questionnaire that you can move through. It's like a little survey that just gives me more information about your unique situation so that we can see if this would be a good fit for you. So again, I'm looking for those 5 moms that are interested in helping their kids improve their mental health, that are interested in improving their own mental health so that they can raise mentally strong kids. I'm really excited about this pilot program. We are going to have such an amazing time together. So please come join us. If you're still kind of wondering, yeah, I want more information about it, I'm interested in this content, but I'm not quite ready to take that step, then again, head over to my free online community, momsquad.ashley.tube, put in your name and email address, and you'll receive the link to join that. The other thing is my free gift for you. So I've put together a report called 3 Questions You Can Ask Your Child Daily to Improve Their Mental Health. You can get to that report by going to ashleyjangro.com/3 questions. That's the number 3 questions. That link will not be live until after this call. So head over there as soon as this call is over, or as soon as this episode is over. So those are our options for working together. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to have you either in my free online community, the Mom Squad, or as part of this pilot program, Mentally Strong Moms. I will not be on the live next week. I am here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, except for next week because it's the holidays. So we will be gone. But I will be here first week of January. I can't wait to see you.